really be thinking about that.
All right, we are live. We are live. Give me one moment. I apologize to all the people that are at home. Thank you for joining us. All right, so today I got you, bro. I got you. All right, so today we are going to be talking about the emasculation of black men in Hollywood. Now, many of us grew up with the television program In Living Color, and one of the many famous characters that we saw were men on film, Antoine Merriweather and Blaine Edwards, and then the other character was Ugly Wanda. Both of these characters were portrayed by Damon Wayans, David Allen Greer, and Jamie Foxx. Now, obviously, back then, everybody looked at it as comedy, but as time went on, people started to say, like, why is it that black men are in dresses? Why is Martin Lawrence dressing them like Sinead? Or why is Tyler Perry making all these Medea movies? So, yeah, it's something that we got to get to the root of. I'm going to let Carlins start. You can't say no, man. We live, man.
No, I didn't say no.
Okay.
I just felt I was going to start.
So I want you to start off. Go ahead.
So, I mean, I've noticed it from back then when I've been watching movies. We're talking about Sinead in Living Color. You have to go back. There's a guy, I forgot his name, who actually started it. He started dressing like a woman. I forgot why he even explained it. There was a black man. It was like in the 50s or 60s.
Flip Wilson, right?
Yeah.
Gerald.
And so, but the harsh reality is that now that we're here at this time, you see it in almost every movie. Not every movie, but majority of movies, you see it where there's emasculation of men. And the crazy part is that they're actually they're talking about like how the woke culture has messed up like movies right now, like even the MCU and DC, and how now you're seeing a whole lot of movies that there are movies that women are led. It's a woman-led movie. The men are there and literally do nothing. There's nothing that they're doing. Like I went to go see Wakanda Forever. Now, it was a great movie in some aspects. But when you really sit there and watch that movie, demasculation of men. Like, well, you know how many men could have sat there and stepped up? And at no point, and even the women didn't even want to be masculine. They just wanted to just have peace. But you know who came in? I forgot them, the Aqua people. Forgot his name. Yeah, I wasn't into the movie like that. But when he came in, it was different to where you saw how they handled, how their culture was compared to how Wakanda was. So their culture, masculine, the women followed the men. Even the wife was sitting there like, yo, why are you playing with them? What are you doing? Like, you need to go destroy them right now. Like, our whole culture is needed on this. And so it's to the point where now we're seeing it in almost every movie. It's not even wearing dresses. It's either you're wearing a dress, it's either you're a homosexual, it's either you're being treated in a certain way. Look at Me Too, Me Time, with what's his name, Kevin Hart. It's another one. Whole movie demasculated.
Which movie is that?
It's the newest movie that he made out on Netflix, where he's a stay-at-home dad. He's married. He suspects that his wife is cheating because the guy who that's around her, he's sitting there doing all these things. But you can literally see the frustration that he has. You can see what he's going through. You can see how the other men talk to him. The other men talk to him and be like, "Yo, you're literally not a man." Like you, and throughout the whole movie, you see it. But it's more and more, and it's to the point where you have a lot of boys who are susceptible to watch these movies, and when they're watching it, that if they're not seeing it, they're just like, well, this is what I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to do. It's to the point where we have women who have sons, and they watch movies, and they Black Panther in them, like literally, they Killmonger and all of them, but they raising their sons to be the bystander who got killed by the bomb that went off, like somebody who's not even in the movie, who's not even. So it's to the point where now a lot of men are not even, they don't even know who they are. Manhood is not even a subject. They're not even talking about responsibility. When you're watching these movies, it's just all about feelings. Everybody's in their feelings, but these men are not actually. Once you even express your feelings and who you are, watch how in the movie the men are even treated. So it's to the point where either we're making our movies, which we are, but it's to the point where we have to either watch the movies and then go back and talk about them and say how can you now navigate through this and see how you can work on being a man through what this is, because you're going to see why this woman is acting this way. At the same time, you have to sit there and realize you do see why women act the way that they act when a man is not being a man. So, and that's prevalent, that's real. So at the same time, a man has to go back and sit there and say, hey, when I'm watching these movies, do I want to be this man? Do I want to do this? No. But at the same time, how can I then be this? Because all I see is this is all I'm seeing. Look at all the little boys who are watching Black Panther, black boys right now. That's their only, besides Killmonger and Black Panther, only hero. Rock just came on as Black Adam. Besides that, who do we have? Everybody else is just white. All of them are superheroes.
You got
and then who?
We got a few of them.
We do. I mean, we have a few of them, but then look at the few that we have compared to how they are looked as a man on screen.
Okay, so let's define what a man is. I feel like that's what we got to start if we're going to talk about the changes and how that affects, like the changes we see to that image on film and how that affects our viewers. It's you. So what is a man? What should be in film?
What should be a man? Someone who a man is someone who protects his family. Protection is not just physical; it's also mental, it's also spiritual. Someone who provides. It's not also financial; it's also guidance. Someone who knows who he is, has his purpose, and someone who at the same time knows what his purpose is, not only spiritually, but also in this world, which is to procreate and build. Procreate and build. So can a man be in his emotions? Yes, we all have emotions. But to lead with your emotions, that's different. So it's like when women ask men, for certain things that say, hey, this is what I want from a man. Men don't really go around and say what we define as a woman. We just say what we don't say we don't define women. We don't sit there and say this is what a woman is. No, woman says what she is. We just go ahead and say, okay, so this is what we want from a woman, but we don't go and define them.
But we're not talking about whether or not you define.
No, but I'm saying, but then in reverse, when we talk about men and women define men, so we're talking about men and men with protection, provision.
Okay.
Vision,
you as a man,
purpose.
This is believe a man to be.
Yeah, purpose. Okay. Yeah.
And you don't believe that's being seen in films.
You have some.
Any of our Black superheroes, they don't defend nobody.
How many Black superheroes you see?
Well, Wakanda Forever. Did you miss it? I'm kidding.
Wakanda Forever. But then on some real, Killmonger was the real king. After T'Challa died.
Okay.
And so then the same thing that this movie did.
I didn't see this. I gotta be honest.
My bad. Spoilers. The same thing that Killmonger wanted to do is the same thing that I don't even know what to call these people. The Atlanteans, I guess. I don't know. I forgot their names.
The bad guys.
They weren't really bad, but I'm just.
I don't know. I didn't see it. Like I said.
But they wanted to do the same thing, which was to sit there and protect themselves from everybody else. To go out. It's as if, like, if you look at that movie real clearly, it's as if it literally switched dynamics from black and brown, right? Okay. And I'm using black and brown on purpose. So black and brown, where black went from, and you hear it in the movie, they are the most powerful people on the earth. And then it went from how we are now going to be. Their dynamic was straight. There was all about family. This was all about men and women. You saw the dynamic. And you don't see it, but you didn't see it. But now, mind you, that's a movie that was for us. And even in that movie, if you didn't watch it very clearly, you've seen the dynamic switch from, oh, now we're going to brown. So it's like we're not even represented. We might have a small minuscule, but we're not even represented clearly as black men in movies in Hollywood. We're wearing dresses. It's if we see our black women, we see our black women in a commercial or in a movie with a white man,
We're not so
and
okay.
he's more masculine. No, but that's what you see.
Okay.
That's what you're seeing. You're not seeing the black man with the black woman being masculine. You're not seeing that. You're seeing the black man being either demasculated or not as masculine enough. You'll see it reverse to where you'll see the black woman with a white man who's masculine, but not a black man. And as people are seeing this, it's just kind of like, if you're not seeing it as clearly, then the only thing that you can do is either stop acting in the movies or do certain movies. So like for instance, Denzel. If you see Denzel's one of those, he's never wore a dress. You can see the direction in the movies that Denzel goes to, but that's that one or two people compared to the majority who are doing the other.
Yeah,
So
other unfortunately more profitable. So other
right.
people take
Hold
part.
on.
But that's it though.
All right, so I have a question, right? So I want to say maybe like 8 years back, I was watching the Ricky Smiley show, right? And there was a particular episode where two young ladies called in and they ended up winning tickets, I guess, to go see him in person. And when these women showed up, they were the most ratchet characters ever, right? These characters were played by Emmanuel and Philip Hudson. Many of you know Emmanuel Hudson from Wild 'N Out. Him and his brother Philip used to do videos on YouTube. But I'm going to direct this message, this question to Sister George. How do you feel about how black men in television are being emasculated through these types of characters? What's your thought on this?
I always kind of wonder like why men sign up for those characters themselves, especially with how our communities look at this point. And it's like I'm almost under the mind, well, they have a responsibility. And we talk about the emasculation of black men, but then if black men are going to willingly sign up for these things, then I think about like Tyler Perry and like Tyler Perry. I cannot picture Tyler Perry as a straight or heterosexual male. I can't see him outside of Medea. There's a guy named Eastside Ivo that used to do these
I remember
skits.
Yeah.
I can't see him outside of the character that he played. And then when they play these characters, how black women are portrayed in the characters that they play. It's like every time somebody wants to be ratchet, ghetto, whatever, they tend to pick the tropes of a black woman and roll with that. And I'm like, I kind of think that it does more harm than good. And for the fact that they're doing it themselves, it's just like you're not even being forced to do this. If you have a man like Denzel that can stand up for himself and his principles, and then you guys have had all this acting training and you do movies well, you're great actors. Why does it have to be at the lowest level for us to accomplish anything? And I don't think it has to be. It's just a matter of standing up for principles. But then I think about how desperate we are for money.
I was just about to say that. It's surprising.
Yeah.
And the money like is there, and it's unfortunately a lot of these men they don't start out in the best of circumstances, right? They always trying to make it, trying to move up. And if you see an opportunity like that, all you gotta do is put on a skirt. I get it, it's tempting. But I think that's to hold ourselves to a standard, and you're the representation of us on screen. Like our children, your children are watching this, and is this what you want them to emulate? Is a question.
Sure.
I see it.
I'm gonna share something, an experience. I remember one time I was watching an episode of My Wife and Kids, and I want to say I was probably like in 7th or 8th grade, right? And this episode, I forgot what was being done, but the character that Damon Wayans was playing, right, Michael, this dude had a thong on. As soon as my dad saw that, he changed the channel. He's like, I was like, what are you doing? He's like, nah, we're not watching that. Now that I'm older, I understand why he did that. You know what I mean? Because it was like, why did that need to be a part of the episode that had nothing to do with the storyline at all. Had nothing to do with it at all. But you know, those are the type of characters that Damon Wayans is used to playing. However, at the same time, you know, being in the culture that we're in, you know, you can't do men on skits anymore. You can't do that. Hold on. Let me just say.
Finish it.
Yeah. So like now that we're in a woke culture, certain things like that you can't do on television anymore. Like straight black men can't play gay characters no more, obviously, because you'll get canceled. But yet, if you have a YouTube channel, you'll do it. There's a guy that's named Tim Bay who's been doing it for years. I cannot imagine me as a straight male. I got a full beard. I'm wearing lead press-on nails and a wig.
I can't.
And I'm doing. It's crazy to me. I'm like, yo, y'all. Like I saw a video the other day. Dude was like, yo, when she blocks you on IG, so you go to a hairstylist and get her wig installed. I'm like, what type of nonsense is this? Like, our young black boys need strong, masculine role models, right?
Yep.
And I'm glad that everybody's starting to point out the stuff with Tyler Perry because look, Spike Lee called it coony buffoonery, and Tyler Perry responded with "Go to hell," and this was like 10 plus years ago, you know. So there has to be a change, and if we're the consumers, we keep on supporting type of entertainment, or we keep on watching certain movies, or if we keep on watching people that make certain content, it's not going to change. There needs to be something different. Kevin Hart said he would never put on a dress. Then there was the skit that he did when he played a little girl on SNL. It's like, why are you selling your soul? And a lot of people don't like that. But I'm gonna go to Christine because I know she's been wanting to say something before me.
I have, my bad. But no, I completely agree, right? Like, but you made a point that I just want to go back to. I'm not sure if it was you or Carlins who said that a lot of what the black men or the positions that the black men will play, they act predominantly like a black woman, right? And they usually exaggerate, you know, the mannerisms and the hairstyles and the nails, and it's usually done at the expense of black women, truly.
Right?
Yeah.
I think before we start talking, also in this conversation of talking about the emasculation of the black man, we have to talk about why is it so profitable for our black men to portray our black women in this light, and black men still take those opportunities. Because not only is it a negative, have a negative effect on our black children, but also you're making fun of your mother, your sister, your aunts, your nieces, and you're cracking jokes at their expense, and you're comfortable with it because you get paid enough.
Right. And if I can go a step further with that, I'm glad that you made that point. I do not like it, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't care who gets offended because there's a lot of people that's watching this and they're gonna feel a certain way. I don't like it when gay white men try to put on this this character of a black woman. Oh, pull up. I'm like, bro, that's not true. I don't like it when anybody does it, when any other color or race, because it's like, yo, if all you see of us is a caricature, then what is it that we've been doing? If the only thing that for years your ancestors watch, oh, watermelon and fried chicken, and these people only like certain things, what is it? What have we done in the last 50 or 60 years to be taken seriously on screen, you know? Because we've played roles as butlers and maids, domestics, and we've come far from that. We've been Uncle Ben, we've been Aunt Jemima, we've been the guy in the cream of the wheat box, right? It took a long time for us to get away to those stereotypes and to actually get to roles of prominence. You know what I'm saying? Even so, you have brothers that were still playing drug dealers or crackheads, you know, like Chris Rock in New Jack City. But now we've come to this point where we can no longer blame Hollywood per se, but we need to put some of the blame on some of these black writers. Like, what exactly is it that you're presenting? Like, in this day and age, almost every show that I see has to have a black man that plays a gay character. Sometimes I just want to watch a show and laugh, but if I feel like there is an agenda that you have against black people, it draws the question, like, what do you see us as? Like, are we a joke to you? Like, are we not supposed to portray our brothers and sisters in a good, positive light on television or in the movies? And that's the reason why Dave Chappelle ended up backing up from his show, because he's like, yo, I'm using the N-word, I'm doing all this stuff, but it's like it's starting to become a caricature. At first, I wanted these people to laugh with me, not at me. And he was trying to, and look, and he was trying to make a point with every sketch. Like a lot of people laughed at it and looked at it as comedy, but the black community is like, I know exactly what it is that he's talking about. And that's exactly why he made a point. Now I'm gonna answer Jenna Marsden real quick, and then I want Christy to continue. All right. It says, why are you believing it's always black writer? What's wrong with diversity? If you're just joining the program, what I'm saying is that if black writers are having a say in what's written in Hollywood and they're not disputing certain things, then we can no longer go and blame white writers. We have to look at our own people and say, okay, so why is it that you're writing this in a certain way? Like, can we change this narrative? Can we be like, okay, you know, let's make it look like this as opposed to what people think we sound like or think like this is what we look like or what we portray. I want to hear from Christy and then Ray, because I haven't heard from Ray in a minute. Go ahead,
in regards to that, I think before a project hits the big screen or hits our television screens, there are a bunch of people who have a part to play, right? We have the writers, we have the actors, we have the set creators, we have our directors, we have our creators. Like, there are a lot of people who have their hands on this project, right? So if you're going to put blame on anybody, we got to put blame on everybody. Okay. I think a lot of the opportunities that are available to our writers and our directors and our creators and our producers of color are limited. As much as we try to say that, like, you know, everybody has a fair shot, we know that's not the truth in the world that we live in. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, when Quinta made all of these achievements in such a short time, so to speak, like, we celebrate because we know how hard the road was for her, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So if you're gonna give blame, I give blame to everybody. But unfortunately, you know, the call of money and is loud. You know, people hear dollar signs, they got bills to pay, and you know, they take this L real quick, or they, you know, overlook certain things in order, if that's how they feel, right? They could really believe in their craft, but even if they didn't, they would overlook certain things if that means that they got food on the table. You have a lot of people who do a lot of strange things for money, and now we're talking about a lot of money. So I can understand. It's unfortunate that this is what we have on our screens, but if that's how you feel about that creation or that project, but it's a reality. Now, I think our job as like people in our own separate homes is to provide structure or routine or whatever it is that however you want to raise your kids, you have to make sure of that. I understand, like, now that means you may have limited entertainment options, but if you are the one in control of that.
I'm gonna just say something briefly, and then after that, I think it was Carlins and then Ray, right?
It was Ray.
Ray next. All right, so I remember I was reading an article where this brother was a part of a diversity program. He was one of the writers on The Office. It is shocking to me that in Hollywood, you have to create a special program for people of color, and that's not limited to black people, in order for them to get into these writers' rooms. So you mean to tell me there has to be a diversity team set up so you can get people of color into these writing rooms? Like, it's almost like the same way how black people are not allowed to vote unless there's a particular letter that's signed like every 4 years or something like that. So to me, I find that troubling.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why is it that we're not allowed in those rooms? Why are you keeping black writers from these sitcoms? And then after that, when these shows go off the air, something happens, or a showrunner is replaced, then you get the boot, and then it's harder for you to find a job as a black writer on any other Hollywood show. You know, the dude ended up working a regular 9-to-5 job after that and doing another job. And then finally he ended up getting another writing job. I don't know if it was for Nickelodeon or Disney, but like it's hard out here. But yeah. I want to go to Ray because I want to hear his thoughts on this. And then I want to hear from Caroline because she hasn't talked in a minute.
Okay. Right, so two things, right? One, we always talk about the Kevin Hart's and the Jamie Foxx and such, but we never speak about someone who is up there or getting up there like the Maja hype, right? So
The who?
Maja Hype.
Who's that?
A Jamaican.
Major Hype?
Major Hype?
Yeah.
Who the hell is Maja?
Sorry.
I understand how it's spelled, but I think he's pronounced
Major Hype, right? He has this character, it's called Mitzi with a Z.
Yes.
And like, even though he's funny and he caters to all parts of the Caribbean, my thing is that he's acting like a caricature of all the women in the Caribbean, right?
That's true.
And
that can be problematic.
Again, at women's expense. The joke is funny at women's expense.
But then again, right, we can't just blame the writers. We have to blame the actors themselves. Another point, there was a movie that was supposed to come out 3 years ago. It was called Letitia, right? If you guys know about White Chicks, it was basically the white version of White Chicks. So it was, it was. So the plot was it was this radio show host that needed money for his son's college fund, something like that, right? And he heard of this job that wanted a radio host for like the daytime, whatever. So he basically played like a caricature of a black woman giving advice, being ratchet and all this other stuff. And the director of that movie was Marlon Wayans. So it never came out because of the backlash that happened, because of the backlash from women. And I remember the video from someone named Chrissy, Sister George know who she is, from Chrissy making a review of it. And there was petitions that was being signed because it was a white guy playing a black woman, not just any black woman, a stereotypical overweight, fat man, black woman, right? So in those situations, we have to blame the directors, the actors themselves, not just the writers, because there's money in this. There's money in making people.
Everybody got a slice of the pie.
There's also money in the opposite end of making men feel a certain type of way. You know, like there's stereotypes for black men, or we're thugs, we're booty warriors, and we're booty warriors, or what else?
Pause on that. I'm saying
like we're sex hounds, and we're on the biggest one is black men are always broke. You know, on misandry internet, a lot of people like to have all this terrible things about black men, right? A lot of women, unfortunately, they'll call us bullet bags. They'll say we're police target practice and all this other stuff, but they won't get canceled. You know, there's somebody on YouTube right now who says abort male fetuses. She hasn't been canceled. Like Andrew Tate, you know what I'm saying? Or like a Tommy Sotomayor, or even a Sneeko or whatever. Yes, they did. A Sneeko or whatever. They get canceled for small stuff. So we have to take into account who is actually putting out these messages, why they're putting out these messages, and what's the cost behind it.
See, right there, that's powerful. I like exactly what you said, because we can control the narrative, but sometimes you got other people that are like, well, I like this script, but maybe if you add this, you know what's funny? How about you put a dress on? How about we put a wig on you and makeup and all this stuff?
I think also a big part of it is how funny the last movie was, or the last time somebody put on a dress, right? Like the viewers who consume that and who purchased, I
was about to say that.
Think
about the consumer.
Like, you gotta they don't. We at the age of time where people use data, right? Like, you know how we always worried about all of our data being stolen. Like they review the data. They realize that a certain demographic, a certain percentage of that demographic will always buy the t-shirt or will always buy the cup, you know, like, and they want people to be spending this money. So,
but do you think I'm sorry. I was going to ask, did you think that it was a part of the programming?
I definitely do think it's a part of the programming, right?
We gotta let Caroline speak.
Right. So now the younger kids are watching it, right? And they think it's funny, and then they buy the generation to generation. I get it. But it's profitable at the end of the day, and they're not necessarily the people who got the money. They're not thinking about like the effect it has on our communities. They're thinking about making their money back or making more money.
That's true.
That's right. It comes down to like they don't really care about us. Like we knew that.
I mean, to be fair, before Caroline, I just want to say like a lot of these people, when they have these skits and such, they're really just doing a reflection of what they see in the community, right? So they'll see like a lot of single mothers, and they'll see a lot of what now is called son husbands. So a lot of these women, they have their sons, and like they're, oh, he's the man of the house, he's my life, he's my king, he's my world, etc., etc. So that's just a reflection of what's really going on in the community.
All right, so let's make sure that we stay on topic. That is a good one, but we got to make sure that we continue staying on topic with the emasculation of black men in general. I guess it does fit into it. Caroline, I want to hear from you, because it's like you always have some words of wisdom. So I want to hear it, and then I want Ryan to speak.
I feel that it's not just that we should have an issue with how black men are portrayed in the media. We should have a problem with us as black women and black men perpetuating the stereotypes that we see on TV. Because it's not just having an issue with how we're portrayed. They have to get this imagery from somewhere. There are women in life who are like Medea, okay? There are women out here like Bon Queequeg, like there are men here what is representative of what we see on television. So if we're going to be upset with how they portray, let's be upset with what the characters are based off on in the first place, right?
Right.
Second point, what goes back to what Christine was saying, they listen and pay attention to what grosses the most money, what YouTube videos get the most views, etc. They're not going to put out a wholesome movie knowing that we don't even like to see that stuff in our personal life. Okay, we can see a whole bunch of videos about puppies jumping through the little hoops with the little dog competition, and that probably get like 100 shares. But you show a video of like a side chick pulling up to the main chick house and whooping her ass and busting out her windows. Everybody,
I mean, it's clickbait, but we all gonna click. It's just
they don't even have to be a title. We're gonna watch the video. See, we try to like be cute and clickbait, and the title made me do it and whatever. We genuinely like care for more drama. I watch it on my news feed. Yeah. Every morning I can wake up and be like, have a good day. Y'all are amazing. I prayed for y'all, right? Boom. I probably get 5 or 10 likes. But the one status that I posted a week ago is low-key going viral in the Adventist community. I post shit every single day.
Yep.
But that day you had some tea.
But that goes to show you what people are attracted to. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. When I'm in these, so we talking about the media. Let's go to the written form. I'm in a whole bunch of book clubs on Facebook. Okay, right before the pandemic, right when the pandemic happened, I discovered like African American literature. Like I had read, a couple of Zane books or whatever.
Absolutely.
But like all of this stuff that is out here, all these hood books and all of this stuff, I've gotten into reading some books, and I know which author does the most with drama, there's some authors out here who like do wholesome stuff, right? And then there are those who like the best friend is sleeping with her best friend's man and having his babies, and making her best friend the godmother and having her show up to the hospital, or like having her take her to get an abortion from her husband's baby and all of this stuff. So it's like, and then I asked them one day, like, why do y'all keep portraying us like this in your books? Like, is there nothing else that you see about us as positive, the family structure? And they're just like, well, we do, but then like, well, ain't nobody gonna read it. We trying to make money, so we write like this because. So it's not just like, which they know.
And I want to also say, like, those kind of books became more accessible, like with the
more accessible, and then like, you got folk who like me. Okay, most of us know how New York is set up. The 5 boroughs and the whatever. I'm from the suburbs of Queens. Okay, I don't live like how whatever. But I'm reading books and I'm out here like, I know what 3.5 whatever grams go for this, and baking soda added to this, and cook it, flip that,
Not the commandments, child.
Okay, whatever. It's on Google.
Boy, 95 airbag soda.
Sure. All of this kind of stuff, and it's just like you're exposing people to a lifestyle that they don't have for themselves. But then again, we want for us to be so positive on TV, but then like we real dysfunctional in real life.
Mhm.
Like, you know, we got men and women having kids and families in different area codes, and you know, happen. Like, so are we mad about how we portray those? We mad that people seeing how we view ourselves, because the movie theater be packed when these movies come out. You know, folk out here, they don't even forgive the actor that played Charles.
Ooh, right. Right. There's some women who I'm still mad at right now.
Okay, I can see Charles
female actors.
We
still mad at the men.
But that's happening, and women are like thriving off of that image because they wish they could do that same thing to some of these.
Terry and Maya.
Sometimes these women can be
going. Are we mad? Are we really mad? Are we really that mad about how our men are portrayed or how our women are portrayed? Are we mad that that's what people are profiting off of? Because people
that's
live
the part for me
every day.
I'm mad because you think it's funny. That's why I'm mad. I'm mad because you think it's funny.
I'm mad because of the feminization of the men. So along with masculization comes the feminization of men, and then the men can't take anything. You can't say too much to them. They going off. They're flipping out, and this is a part of the culture. Now I feel like we have overly masculine. What's the word, y'all?
Masculine.
Overly masculine females and under or feminized men, and
I see a whole
then we're not procreating anymore. Nobody's doing anything. We could barely have a conversation, and no social skills are happening. And I feel like it's just a part of a horrible evolution that our kids are going to experience. Then what?
Mr. George, my husband asked me one day, he was just like, Caroline, are you ever offended by how gay men behave? And I was like, what do you mean? He was just like, they're getting this behavior. They say that they're basing behavior off of women. Yeah, and I was like, but I don't act like that. Now, I've never really thought of like being offended, but I was just like, what?
You know what kind of kills me is that we've taken on a lot of drag queen traits. So when you talk about the makeup and the wig, and we get listen, a girl did my makeup, y'all, one day. Why she have like a whole 5 o'clock shadow on me? And my eyelashes is out to here. Then I was into like heavily into lace fronts, but not good ones, because they was just kind of coming out right then. Baby, I had to look at myself and I was like, damn, I look much better natural than what I allowed this woman to do to me. And even looking at everybody's makeup, we've taken on so much of their shit. No wonder they're starting to look more natural than we are. And it's like,
you gotta look for Adam's apple.
Listen. It's to the point where I was around. There were two men working, and one of them we were picking up toilets, 50 pounds each. So one of them is picking up toilets. He done did his thing. The other one, he's pushing toilets, just pushing them. So I'm like, yo, how come you having this guy push your toilets? This is your job, literally. But he's gay, and so he says, I'm in my feminine right now, so I'm not doing nothing. What? I said, what did you just say to me? He was like, I'm in my feminine. I'm not gonna do nothing. So I sat there and I watched him. And I said, all right, you know what? I said, fine. So then one day I'm doing another job, and I'm literally, this is his job. I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm supervisor here. So I'm there and I'm hacking at this. So I'm trying to get this nail in, and he's just there sitting there, just looking at me like this. And I said, yo, are you in your feminine right now? Because you supposed to be doing this, not me. Like, wake up, wake it up.
But okay.
But it's gotten to the point where it's like either they can go and say it, or like that's the reason why the last conversation that we had when we talked about like women and we talked about like women and men and males and female. When women get upset when you say female, right? So there are characteristics, just like some males get upset when you call a certain male when you call a certain man a male, he'll get upset too, because there are characteristics that we hold as men. But it's just to the point where we have a lot of these. It's not like you have heterosexual males going around talking about, hey to the gay guys, hey man, go do what you do, man. Go get that dick in the ass. Go ahead and nobody's doing that. When you talk about the audiences that are listen, pay attention. Listen, when you're talking about the audiences, when you're talking about who, because just like what Christine did, she brought up consumers. Who is watching it? You have 5 actors or 10 actors in a movie, 10 actors, but you have 100,000 people watching it. It's the consumers too. Who is watching it? Who is sitting there saying, "Hey, I want to go and watch a dude dressed like a female, and I'm okay with that"? Are men watching it, or are women watching it and then sitting there saying, "Hey, it's like we have to sit there and talk about the consumers too"? Who is sitting there watching these movies and then sitting there saying, because we can cancel it, just like we've canceled a whole bunch of other stuff. We can cancel the whole movie from even coming out. You know what? We ain't gonna watch this. We're gonna boycott this. We're not gonna do it. But when you sit there and you look at the numbers and you look at who does it, we're literally just perpetuating our own stuff. It's us as the meeting of the minds who sit there and say, "Yo, this is some messed up stuff." But outside of us and the small group, you have people who are sitting there literally going to the movies and still perpetuating it. They still gonna go to the movies and still be like, "Hey," just like Caroline said, "I'm gonna go and watch the ratchetness. The ratchetness is right there. We're gonna go perpetuate it." It's the consumers that are going to go do this. The emasculating of black men is not by. It's not majority by men. You do have some men who will sit there and say, "Hey, I don't respect weakness. I don't respect weak males. So I ain't gonna really rock with you like that." Yeah, but that's in all generality. But who's sitting there perpetuating it and saying, "Hey, it's okay"? Just like with Sister George, when the girl started putting a five shadow makeup and the eyelashes, where did we start getting the color of hair? That's from drag queens. They started all that stuff first. Go look at the history of RuPaul. RuPaul and them started wearing all of the wigs and the eyelash. That was them first. Then when you emulate them, and now when gay guys are coming and saying, "Yeah, well, we are better women than women."
Yeah.
Oh what?
Yep.
Oh what? Because you don't hear them. You don't hear them say, "I'm a girl" or "I'm a female." No, they say, "I'm a woman," because there's characteristics of women. So if you deny them of that and say, "Well, you're not a woman," like now they mad. Like now you have a lot of women who are mad, but you've condoned it. You've opened the door to it, and now it's like, "Well, I'm mad that now these men are acting more women than I am." I mean, I'm scared in these streets. I'm scared in these streets, period. I don't know what to do with these streets. But
hold on. Wait, let me say something quick. I hate when I hear gay men or those that are drag queens or whatever, or even transsexuals say that they're better than women or 10 times better.
Yeah,
you're not. You may
right.
have certain characteristics and think and feel because you finally where you at in life. That's what you want to do. That's your business. But you're not. All right. So this is how we're gonna go. Caroline, then Trini, then Sister George.
Oh.
All right, so Caroline, I know you wanted to finish your point, sister. Go ahead.
Real quick. I do want to highlight a point. Some of the contributing factor to the interaction between men and women and the feminization of men that we see is a hormonal issue. So we have culture, we have what we see, but then you also have when the body's overworked and stressed out and you're not doing what you're supposed to for your body, you have men and women both have amounts of the dominating hormone for the opposite sex in their body. So a woman has testosterone, a man has estrogen, right? But when a man starts to produce more estrogen and it becomes more than his amount of testosterone, it's going to impact, he's going to like experience like voice changes, starts to go breast, more emotional. So those are things that you'll see. And then when a woman is stressed out, so like this is a whole quick history lesson, then Trini could go. Cortisol and progesterone are produced by the same material during the endocrine hormonal building process. When a woman is stressed out, cortisol steals from progesterone. Your cortisol level goes up, but then there's no balancing hormone for estrogen. So her testosterone, cortisol, and her estrogen go up. Testosterone is going to lead to more masculine features, traits, behaviors. So when my hormones were imbalanced, like somebody was telling me how I was when I was like 19, 20, and I was just like, well, there's an answer for that. Cool. So, like if you're not, and the environment that we live in now in 2022 going to 23 does not offer or is not conducive to work-life balance, or like allowing an opportunity to recharge and like, eat right and do right, exercise, do all of them kind of things. So like when people think it's just natural to be this way, it's really not. Whether it's trauma or life or what we see on TV, a lot of times it's like you can't really help it unless you're intentional about fixing it. Like the environment, like you drink too much plastic or like microwave too much plastic, they go your hormones. Like if you're constipated, they go your hormones. Like if you're drinking too much alcohol, and it's a part. It's not just a singular issue. It's a multi point situation that you have to treat holistically. So like heal your hormones, heal your mind and heart, or whatever. Come back, you better. That's my commercial.
Okay.
Who are feeding the kids?
It's not your turn.
Oh,
I'm just. It was just a question.
The USDA of America. Go ahead, Trini.
Oh my God.
Why she being so cold? Nah, you can't.
She's always cold when we get on here. It's all right. I love her.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we
Yep.
can.
Yes.
Go ahead, man.
All right. So honestly just want to start off with this. To answer that lady's question about how do you define a man, I'm gonna put it to you in these short words. For one, a man is God-fearing, and it goes beyond that. He obeys, because once you obey Christ, you then set a standard. So no disrespect. He doesn't tolerate disrespect. He's a leader. He's not the tail. He provides for his family. He's a stand-up guy, very transparent, and he's a man of decency and order. There is no in between. With that said, black men of Hollywood, we all know that Hollywood is, just like Ye said, owned by a lot of Jewish people and so on and so forth. Now, like Caroline said, to land back up to her, everyone has a choice. Because you see, Hollywood, they will tell you lies and then sell you truth. So they're okay, your goals and dreams and like $4.5 million. On the other hand, you got a 360 deal, you got to wear the dress, and once you sign the dotted line, we own you. We own your time, your energy. We own your mornings, noon, nights, afternoons. We own it all. So once you put money on the table and that much money in front of someone who's been living in the slums and just tired of seeing their best friends get shot, or this crackhead ODing, or whatever have you, crackheads on the street trying to sell a weed or whatever he do, whatever, however, he's going to take that deal. You see, when it comes to that table, there is no black lawyer who truly, genuinely cares about your well-being and the legacy of your family to tell you the do's and don'ts. Hey, you might want to read this before you sign that. So there used to be a saying: "It takes a village to raise a child." It ain't just a child. It takes a village to literally guide you throughout life. Everyone needs that one somebody. When you feel like, yo, I'm finna go turn up and drink like 30 shots, we all need that one person to be like, yo, how about let's not and say we didn't. So yes, accountability is the most not used word. Everybody knows the word narcissism. They know the word toxic masculinity. They know misandry. They know all of these words that's been like in the dictionary forever, but now black folk are catching on. Now they know what it is and they want to use it for everything. Black people, if you have seen what's been going on, are the most laughed at and clown people you will ever meet. And I hate to say it, but it's true. It's not all of us for sure, but a good majority proportion of us don't know how to act, love drama, something's going on outside, we're quick to stick our hands out the window. And just like Caroline said, where are these directors getting their stories from? They would have had to see it in order to put it on film. And it's us black folk who validate it. So you really can't be mad at what film is making this much money and what's being produced because it's the majority of us who validate it. Now, when it comes to gay people, listen, my sister's gay. I've had plenty gay friends, and it's not that I hate them, but I gotta tell you, women really ought to be offended because they're literally trying to demonstrate to women how to be better than y'all. And there's nobody showing up for the women who really want that voice to be like, yo, like, what are y'all doing? The moment you say something that's against them, you're canceled, you're deemed, you hate this and you hate that, and you won't even get to explain how you feel. No one truly cares at all. So it's literally up to us to be the change that we want. Otherwise, we're gonna be stuck here in the hood or wherever we at, not progressing. That there's nothing else to be said about this, especially where wearing dresses and things are concerned. Again, you can choose to be a decent black man and sure, be self-conscious, be that masculine energy, but you lose that. You're going back to look at Five Guys and working 90 hours a week and flipping the burgers and cutting the fries and all of that, probably making what? Maybe $500 after taxes for every 2 weeks for a paycheck. 500, 4.5. It's come on. What do you expect the average coke dealer who doesn't want to be in the life no more and always looking over his shoulder? What do you expect him to do?
Yeah.
Or that person whose brother got shot because he got robbed? What exactly do you expect these men to say? These niggas don't care about the Illuminati or none of that. All they know is if I sign this contract according to said person, this is what I'm guaranteed. I'm tired of being broke. I'm trying to get some money and finally get some honeys. And speaking of honeys, when it comes to marriage and the femininity of little boys, I'm sorry, well, no, I can't say moms. I gotta blame both sides. Fathers, we gotta start being active in our children's life for real. There's gotta be a balance somewhere. A child needs to see how a mom reacts to her husband and how a husband runs the house and reacts to his wife. Otherwise, all that woman and being around her friends and this and the third, oh, look at you wearing them Tims. Oh, you so cute. Yes. And you're raising your sons to either be gay by accident or you're teaching them how to be feminine for the rest of their life. That means, hey, dog, you like my fit? No, I ain't feeling it, bro. That don't even match. What are you trying to say right now? You're always in your feelings. When it comes to being a man, we're not allowed to feel because we're too busy trying to lead. And that's where a lot of marriages get screwed up at. Because a man with priority and who's trying to get somewhere, if the woman doesn't want to jump on a bandwagon and be the helpmeet that the Bible says she should be, y'all shouldn't even be walking because, like I asked you last time, can two people walk unless they agree? Yeah, he's cute, tall, handsome, whatever the case, but it's not exactly what you need. But I yield because all of this, literally all of it leads to us. There is no if there's about it leads to us. We make the choice. And for every action, there's a reaction. So you can't be mad that there's so many feminine boys walking around here because no one's changing it. We can't be mad at the video and movie screens because no one's changing it. No one is changing it. Even those in Hollywood. They're controlled. They're pawns. You want to dress, you got the option to not do so. But at the end of the day, this person knows more people than you. They can contact the next person and be like, yo, he's very hard to work with. They'll get blackballed. Don't work with this guy. And that's that. Accountability. That's it. I yield.
I respect that. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Caroline, you want to make a point? Who's supposed to go next? This is George, right?
Mr. George.
Okay. Yeah. So I had a question for the panel. And I want to know, did you guys see the interaction between Kevin Samuels and Nicki Minaj?
Yes.
I did
It was rude. She was running rude. She
And
went on
what?
there with a literally. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, go
Go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead.
It's just she literally got on the show with the intent to try to shame and embarrass him simply because she's Nicki Minaj and she had a whole fan base, and she don't even realize Kevin wasn't even trying to come with smoke. It was like, look, let's have a debate. We can talk about it and all that. But when she was making all those faces and being all characteristic, and, just acting, doing the most, she wasn't listening to him. When it comes to a lot of women, I'm sorry, this is no shade, but instead of trying to fight us men, just try listening. Because if we're already trying to get beat, if we're already getting beat by the world and the government, the judicial system, the court system, whatever, we're already getting our ass tore up outside the moment we step out this door. We even got to step out. We bills, text messages from the bill collectors and all that. We already getting our asses whooped, and then we got to come home and deal with y'all. As soon as we step in, we didn't even have an hour to ourselves yet. It's, oh my God, take kids. Oh my God, do this. Oh my God, do that. It's like you're holding a whip, and I just, do you not see the whip from my back? Like sometimes listening does more than just talking about how you feel, because we think logically. Women think more emotionally, and they're like 10, 20, 30 steps ahead. It's a curse. It happens. But yeah, I'm done. I'm sorry. I'm finished.
I understand. But I wanted to know you guys' opinion about that, because to me, in that moment when she started to go off like eat a D and this is that, to me it was like she was emasculating him, and I felt like he should have checked her, and I felt like he should have checked her really, really hard. So to me it was like he was kind of responsible for his own emasculate, not necessarily her actions, but the fact that he didn't do anything to defend it or to even bring her back down to size or to earth, so to speak, was an issue for me. And I wanted to know you guys' thoughts on that. If y'all seen
I
it.
saw the video, and there was actually a response to it that somebody made in the space that said something along those lines. But one of the things that was said was that I think Kevin Samuels wasn't in his own space. I think he went to Nicki Minaj's Instagram live. I think. Don't quote me on it. I think. But if he had chopped her down to size like how other people would have wanted, I don't think it would have went well. Only because it would be another. They would twist it and use an example like, oh, a black man is dating a black woman, and one thing I want to say is like in my personal opinion, I do think that a lot of black masculinity has to be performative, right? So a lot of women tend to want masculine black men to do stuff for them, but they don't want masculine men to be there for them. So
Christine's favorite. Like,
say that again one more time. Say that again. One more time.
Go ahead. I heard it again. I heard it, kid. I heard it the first time, kid.
A lot of women want black men to do stuff for them, but don't want them to be there for them. Right. So when
sermon right there.
When a lot of black men try to assert, masculinity and assert boundaries and things of that matter, right? It's always met with shaming tactics. Oh, why do you have your standards so high? Oh, you must be gay. And that's a big thing that I always hear is that you must be gay, right? A lot of black men have to deal with those type of shaming languages when we want to establish some type of standard for the women that we deal with or even that we're friends with, right?
They talk about your mom.
There we go. Talk about your mother. Oh, all this. And my favorite one that I like to hear is, oh, your dick is little. And like, but you don't know any of us,
you
right?
Little dick nigga.
Intimate with us, but you know that our dick is little. Oh, we got big dick energy, right? And you know what's funny? A lot of women will say that they want, we want emotional men, we want men to cater to our needs and all this other stuff, right? But they never marry those men. They're not in long-term relationships with those type of men, right? It's always, well, he has to be able to put me in my place, but then you want him to be emotional. The two kind of don't work because it's like you want him to sit there and eat ice cream.
Be the first ones to call the police when shit get real. Right?
You want him to sit there and eat ice cream with you and watch romantic comedies, but then you want him to be strong when somebody comes in the house and tackle them like football players. So it's like it doesn't.
Like, no, I don't want to watch this movie.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and it's only in. I'm gonna finish it up. It's only in our community, right, where the black man has to be shamed for having some type of standard. When a white man comes and raises the standard, everybody falls in line. Asian, Latino, Indian, etc. It's always with black men. We have to have a why behind what we do, right? And it's Sister George, if you notice in this space, right? Whenever a woman comes on, and you've seen these Kevin Samuel videos where he's tried to establish this is how it's going to go in this space, in my house, there's always some type of backlash. Oh, you must be gay. Oh, why you like arguing with women and all this other stuff. But then the opposite end, right? And you see men come onto women's platform and the women start to establish boundaries, the men have to shut up.
But the thing is, when as it pertains to men have to be very dominant over their spaces. You give a woman an inch, she's going to take a mile. And if you are soft checking, like if she comes on and you allow her to be disrespectful and you're laughing with her as opposed to having a serious conversation or checking her when she needs to be checked, then that's the type of behavior that makes women think that it's okay. When with other races of men, those women understand that there are consequences for violating whatever they're told to do. A lot of their races have consequences. Black women have kind of came to the realization that there are no consequences because we know who to call on you. We know if we call the next simp is going to jump in and help us as soon as we start crying. And I don't know, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of look at men like men have a responsibility to themselves to kind of get it in line.
But that's part of the problem, right? Go ahead, Gabriel. I'll respond to you after. Go ahead.
All right. So I think Ryan had mentioned something about jail. Like I guess when you get into an argument with a woman or things seem like they're getting volatile, she'll call the police on you, even though it doesn't seem like it's that type of situation. There was an article that Caroline shared last week in the chat. And basically there was this high school, I think it was a high school principal, and basically him and his wife, they had a disagreement. She went and called the police on him and then made a false report that he abused the two girls. So feeling like he couldn't get out of it and he was just like stuck because it affected his he couldn't go to work because it's like that whole thing messed up everything because now he's being questioned whether or not he abused this girl. So he was at, I think it was Disneyland or Disney World. He wrote a suicide note and he jumped off the top of the building and he killed himself. How many times have women made lies about men? And only after the fact, after the man killed himself, you finally realize that she wasn't telling the truth. You want black men domineering, understanding, emotional, but not to be overly too emotional. You want them to share, but not share too much. Otherwise, it's going to turn you off. But yet, I want to talk about a couple that really gets on my nerves. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Mr. and Mrs. LaTruth, but they are both annoying. She called the police on him. They had a argument or whatever, but I don't think he hit her. Some say that he did, some say that he didn't. But they always make a lot of these crazy videos that look real, but it's really not. So I don't know what it is about them. But
apparently that was a skit. Apparently it was a skit.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like it was like a whole skit. There was like a whole setup that they had where she was gonna call the police and he was gonna act like he was gonna whatever. Like it was a whole skit, and they're back together and it's all other stuff. Like they had a whole Facebook Live about it.
No, but here's the thing. Had a Facebook Live. When I saw the video and she called the police, he's like, "Yo, really, you gonna call the police on me?" And she's like, "I'm afraid. I'm scared for my life." Like, it's so crazy, right? To want, like, when you have men that are really going through stuff like that, y'all playing around on social media like it's something that's funny. There are dudes right now that are trying to fight for their homes. They want to be the man of the house, but they got with the wrong type of woman. And she emasculated him so long that now all of a sudden he's ready to, you know, be like, "Nah, I'm going to take back ownership." Nah, it's too far gone. You let her feel too comfortable in your space, so much to the point that now she feels like any little thing she says, she knows is going to trigger you. You know, you can't do certain things with the kids. You can't go and make this decision. You can't go here. You can't go there. You can't enjoy life because it's like she constantly has you on lock. Now, if we want our boys to grow up to be strong, responsible young black men, or just men in general, we have to realize that sometimes, not sometimes, we have to realize that it's important to spend time with them. It's important to break down certain things, you know, and let them know, like, listen, don't ever be weak. There's nothing wrong with crying when you need to, but understand that if you let a woman control you to a certain extent, you might just start to become as feminine as her. You might start to develop certain traits. And anytime another man says something to you or tries to speak to you, you're going to be like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about. You're always going to want to be arguing. Like, you know how crazy it is for, like, let's say you have the type of woman that is not domineering like that, and she's just having a normal conversation. The male, and let's say that this male grew up with his father, right? Or even if he didn't grow up with his father, he will have an emotional response to everything. And she'll be like, yo, relax. I just said one thing. And he just keeps going off and off and off. And most men don't understand, like being emotional like that is not good, because you can make rash decisions in that moment and not realize the ramifications they're going to have later on. So when we begin to look at film and we begin to see these caricatures of black men and black women and the gay community and all these different things, we have to realize it's what we are doing in our homes. It's the things that we're seeing outside. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, even certain terminology that we use. Like, for example, I know everybody, like, you always hear the phrase slave queen, right? But that's not something that the heterosexual black community came up with. That's from the gay community. You know what I mean? We often adopt ourselves to certain trends without realizing the negative damage or harm it might have. For example, starting from last week up until Thursday, everybody was downloaded this Lensa app without even realizing that information was being taken. So y'all paying $8.99.
Paying?
Oh. Yeah, right. Y'all taking this app, y'all paying for this, but it's like, yo, they're creating your avatar, your artificial intelligence, and all this different stuff. And I didn't even know it until somebody pointed it out. And I'm like, damn, because look, I mean, if they have a card that has all your information, what do you think they're gonna do once they get your face? Now somebody can go.
They got your face.
Yeah. So
they had your face. You ain't got to
came out. All right. Let me
heard the DMV.
So the point I'm trying to drive home is that a lot of what we do as fathers, as mothers, men, women, a lot of the things that people see on the outside when we're walking around in public, they're going to take those little things and write it. And so when we see these things on film, we laugh, but later, and we're like, yeah, that's my life right there. And we laugh and we knee slap and all this stuff. But it's like, we're like, hold on, wait a minute. Are they laughing with us or are they laughing at us? And if they're laughing at us, why are we laughing in the first place?
I think also we have, when you talk about stuff like that, like as far as like the viewers and the consumers, most of the consumers of Black media are Black people, right? Like a lot of our household names that we had growing up were not the household names in white households. Like Black people is who is consuming Black media. You know, like everyone's like, I'm rooting for everybody Black. Like we're the ones that's doing it. I think we touched on a lot of things, a lot of the negative female aspects or feminine aspects or male aspects, whatever the case may be. It's not healthy, right? A lot of them are just toxic things that we've picked up. We never really call each other out on that in our homes, but when we see it emulated on a screen or on a stage, we're like, oh my God, I can relate so much. Oh, wow, that's true. I'm fine. And you find it funny, but it's because we don't have these healthy dynamics in our
homes. Telfar did a drop in New York at Rainbow.
I remember that, yes.
Somebody sent me the promo that they posted on Instagram, and I was disturbed. because it's like you got the black woman with the colorful hair twerking in the middle of the street.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to know, is that it?
Yeah,
That what?
when people were
That's
voting,
it, because no, when I turn on the TV,
fucking, let's get it.
when I turn on the TV, a commercial come across my YouTube for Coach, Louis Vuitton, and all these other brands. It's like, we dance in the middle of the mall and like everything's glamorous. But this now, you're trying to get black dollars, and the best you could do is twerk in the middle of New York City.
I think they might have
granted, black women twerk, cool, whatever. I'm not getting into that with anybody because time and place for everything. If this is what you're putting out, that's exactly the kind of consumers you're going to get. But I will say that I know I keep saying that I need to get out these women groups. I'm gonna get out. That's gonna be my 2023 goal. Maybe January 30th or something. But I've been noticing a theme. Whether this go with the topic or not, I'm sorry, Gabe. My bad.
Go ahead.
Some of the posts that I've seen is that women are like, I don't know how to love a black man, or I've never seen it, or like, what does it look like when a black woman loves you properly? And I think that needs to be a part of the conversation, because all of this back and forth 10 years ago, when I'm out to hit 10 years of marriage, there wasn't this conversation. It was just like, we had one premarital counseling session, and I'm in there crying because I don't have. Basically, my husband married a bum. Okay, I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have. The only thing I had was my college, my high school diploma, and a New York City permit. That's it. That's all I had, and my beautiful, luxurious personality.
You were enough. Remember that, y'all. You was a bum, and you was enough. Okay.
But what he said was, I'm not worried about all of that. Carla, I'm not worried about all of that. Like, you just do what you need to do for the household, and I got you. He like, you worried about all this other stuff. Just do this, right? Granted, over the years have passed. I got my driver's license. I graduated from college. I'm no longer like, I'm a college educated bum sometimes. Cool, whatever. But I really do think that on both sides of the spectrum, people are not talking they're not listening to understand. They're talking to respond. Mm-hmm. Because some of the issues that I've encountered within my marriage and what I've seen people discuss on the internet, it's just like, all of this stuff could be solved if y'all turn off your phones and talk about it. Yeah. Right? My husband and I used to have I just think I'm a funny person because everybody else thinks I'm funny, right? So like we do like game night or whatever, and I'm cracking jokes on everybody, especially my husband. When everybody leaves, it's like, so I don't like how you talk to me in front of people. I don't like the kind of jokes that you're making about me, and people are watching how you talk about me to them. At first, I was just like, yo, you'll be okay. Like, But then I started to pay attention. Nah, that's not cool, because if he did it to me, I wouldn't like it. That's right. And that's so I'm seeing a lot of I want to do this, and if you don't like it, whatever. And in my head, it's just like, relationships is give or take. You feel what I'm saying? Like, in my head, in my total complete rebellion against the church, I'm like, I want a tattoo because it seems cool. Knowing full well my pain tolerance is horrible, but in my head, it's like, it seems cool. My husband was just like, no. Okay. That's the way that modern lifestyle is promoting themselves to women. Is just like, you said I can't do it. You know what? Matter of fact, I'm gonna do it anyway. That's not how things work. Okay.
Right. And you're gonna be tattoo by yourself.
There are times, okay, my husband was like, no, you'll be single. And I was like, tattooed and single, or like not tattooed and married. Okay, I'll take not tattooed and married for 1,000, Alex. But I feel like it's just, there are times where I've had to tell my husband, like, I don't need your solutions right now. I just need for you to listen and we have dinner or something. Like, I just want to talk to you about my job. I know realistically in this job climate, right, that I can't just like walk off the job and be, you know, emotionally unstable and irresponsible and be like, you know what, you didn't email me fast enough, I'm out, right? I just want to talk to you about how my job is going. Once I talk to you about it, I can go back to work the next day and be like, okay, this is still dysfunctional, but at the end of the day, I'm making money to bring home to help alleviate my household's financial burden, right? So I'm tired of hearing like that's how men are, because men are tired of hearing that's how women are. Okay, so like as an adult, as an emotionally responsible, financially sound, mentally stable, spiritually foundationally strong, you should be able to say, you know what? This is how I am, but this is how I want to be. This is how I want my relationships to be. This is how I want things to go forward. I wouldn't want that person to do it to me, so I'm not going to do it to them.
Facts.
That's what it is. I'm always encouraging women to have more guy friends. I'm encouraging guys to have more woman friends, because this overly sexualized lifestyle that people are okay. At some point, sneaky linking and all of that's gonna get old. Like, I promise, y'all finna be at the nursing home catching AIDS. That's how it is. But I just feel like all of these. I watch the podcast. I watch all of the men. I watch, you know, whatever that girl name in Europe.
Just Pearly Things.
Purely her.
You watch too much.
I'm like listening to everybody and making notes, and at the end of the day,
we got somebody right here.
Like, okay, some people there are women who we need to do better with our fertility, with our emotions, and just whatever, because one emotional outburst from us can cost a man his life, right? But then on the flip side, right, there are men who are walking around unhealed, toxic, who do not know Christ, but want submission. No, you cannot have it. You cannot have it. You don't deserve it, because if you're not prayed up, you don't need a woman who is looking for leadership if you don't know how to lead yourself. Okay.
But if everybody in the Christian, you can't sit there and say that. Like,
no. There's
submission. There's
a man who is walking.
cultures.
A man who is walking under the devil's leadership does not deserve a woman's biblical submission. Let's not even go. Don't do that. Don't.
No. Wait.
Yeah, it's kind of a stretch.
No, it's not.
I'm not gonna go.
No way. No way. No, submission is not preached to y'all how it's preached to us. Okay.
Hold on, Caroline. Wait. Hold on.
I don't want to hold on. Okay. Submission is a biblical concept. If you're talking about what a man is, there's biblical principles to what manhood and masculinity is. Okay. You see the church uses and has weaponized submission in the Proverbs 31 woman to keep women in abusive and toxic and harmful situations without doing due diligence to educate the men who these women are supposed to marry on what a quality husband and a man of substance should be.
How many women are abusive to these men?
Unless you was in a class for women on submission, you can't tell me what we had to learn to do with y'all.
But then you're talking about a group in a church that everybody don't go to.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on, bro.
Let's not go there. You're talking about a group. You're talking about a group of women that go to a church that everybody else don't go to.
There we go.
So you can't talk about submission if we're talking about submission as a whole group, as a whole world, right? Then we're not going to talk. That we can't sit there and keep on bringing up religion when each religion has a sense of or culture has a sense of submission that they run by. They all do. So we can't sit there and say, "Oh, if you're not Christian, then you can't get submission." What?
Hey, wait, hold on. Wait. I gotta stop you there.
Mental health is important.
A lot of people seem to think that, first of all, submission has nothing to do with these man-made religions anyway. It has nothing to do with being Christian. Submission in its entirety is a two-way street. You respect me like you're supposed to respect me, and I respect the woman either as such. There is no such thing as, oh well, In Buddhism, they do this, and in Moscow, whatever, they do whatever. If you look at the diagram of every other country, the women are always following their husband. Why? Because she has a roof over her head, food for the kids, he loves her the right way, he's present, and that's that. It's a two-way street. A lot of men, they say submit, like a chick is supposed to be a slave, and, oh, make me a sandwich, clean up the house, vacuum the floors, do whatever I tell you to, and they just have no responsibility in the world.
When a man gets married, he submits.
I
don't know what y'all talking about. As soon as a man gets married, he submits.
Carlins, don't go off the deep end just yet. Hold on.
I don't know.
Sister George.
I'm not upset about that.
Wait, no. I'm going somewhere. Sister George, right?
Yes.
You're in this space, right? What do these guys say that when they talk about submission?
Nobody generally gives like a full definition of, and so then when we get down to the nitty gritty, it's literally coming down to a woman just being nice to them, somebody just being pleasant to come home to, and you're not always at odds, and she's not like a nag, like she's hella nitpicky. And that's what I'm coming across, because a lot of guys don't mind doing housework or helping out with housework. A lot of guys don't mind. A lot of guys love helping out with the kids in certain aspects, like love, like spending time with their kids.
That's basic. You're supposed to do that.
Yeah, but then when it comes down to, I think, a lot of our interpersonal dynamics, then let's just say that it comes down to bill paying, and she's bringing in a certain amount of money. Most women don't feel like they should bow down to you if she's bringing in like the same amount or more money, or if she's paying half the bills or whatever. She feels like she should be able to input on the decision making, just like you should, like you are.
So no
and
problem. So then go protect me when we outside. Protect me when we outside.
No, but the thing is, I think that to me, a lot of the problem with married people don't really discuss like the good dynamics of marriage. Most of us are talking about, like, I've heard married women talking about marriage, and it's like, why would you be telling anybody all of it? Not to say that you shouldn't give a real aspect to marriage, but if the man has got you watching the kids, you cooking and cleaning, you don't ever get a break, plus you're working, and all he does is sit around and play the game and shit, then I'm kind of looking at you like, well, sis, I thought you was like bad. Like, you got a whole, and you don't know how to.
Why would I do that? That sounds terrible.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's not how most marriage dynamics go.
Healthy. You gotta be clear about that. Healthy.
Yeah. Because most women I know do work within the marriage. Most men I know help with the kids within their marriage dynamic. Nobody really gives credit on either side. Or when it comes down to the submission side, I think a lot of married men are afraid of being talked about in a simp aspect because they got married under a certain law. So they don't necessarily talk about the benefits of marriage either. And it's like, well, it's like, let everybody else figure it out. I got mine and I'm good over here. I'm not worried about what they got to think or what they're saying, so I don't have to justify it. But then you have a bunch of single men speaking on a marriage dynamic in situations that they've never been in. And it's the same way with women. I know women who've never been in relationships speaking on relationships. Like, what are you talking about? You can't tell me anything.
Never been married, talking about marriage. This is crazy to me.
Right. You got the blind leading the blind.
Right.
And the deaf translating the sermon.
That part. And so, like I said, when it comes down to the submission part, a lot of men from within the space, it's not even a submission thing. I think they would deal with full-blown feminists as long as the feminist knew when to shut the F up.
Thank you.
She was nice.
And that's crazy. It's just shut up.
That's it. That part. That's it. Because when people talk about submission, they use the Bible and they use all these other aspects. And it's like, no, we just want somebody that's going to work with us, right? A lot of people, they come on these stages, they come on these podcasts, they come on the internet saying, oh, well, if she does this, I'm going to do this, or he does this, I'm going to do that. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way, right? A lot of the guys who are complaining, right? We just want women who will be able to work with us, who are going to be nice to us. That's something that Kevin Samuels said. Why can't you be nice to us? That's another part of the whole emasculation of black men. we don't get a lot of women who are nice to us. Not even just on a regular relationship aspect, on a friendship aspect too. We got to deal with all that. We got to deal with the attitude. We got to deal with the disrespect. We have to deal with being called out of our names, even just on a friendship level.
Go ahead, Nikita. Sorry. Nikita,
And it's like,
go ahead, Nikita.
Why is that? And then on top of that, we also have to deal with the negative aspects too, because anytime a woman talks about a black man or experience with a black man, a lot of times it's always negative. It's always this not over dramatization. I don't want to discredit anybody, but it's always this grandiose experience where like, oh, well, if I'm in a room with black men, I'm going to run the opposite way because they're all thugs and they have guns and all this other stuff. And it's like, why is it always so over expressive like that? Like when they talk about white men, when they talk about Asian men, when they talk about Indian men, it's always calm and cool. When they talk about black men, we're a bunch of thugs and all we're going to do is rob you. We're going to kill you and all this other stuff. And it's like, why does it have to get to that type of stage?
So I wonder if part of that has been their experiences with black men and men of different colors, as to say, or also how much of that are they consuming in the media? Because like we were talking about earlier, a lot of our black men are portrayed in these thug roles and these gangster roles and, you know, all of these other things that are just big and scary. So is that a big part of why the women feel that way?
But can you complain about the man that you chose, knowing that this nigga sells weed and is on the corner?
No, it's not about choosing. It's not about choosing. Let's get off that subject.
No, Ryan makes a good point. Go ahead. You're making a good point.
No, the reason why I said it is because a lot of these so-called men who these women complain about on these podcasts, what do these women say? Oh, that's the nigga that I'm attracted to. I like a drug dealer. I like a smoker. I like this. I like that. I like a man who lets me twerk all over the place. You chose exactly who you were attracted to. So you can, in return, say, well, all black men are trash, but you chose that dude. Pants second halfway off his ass, down to his knees even, and all he's really into is materialistic stuff in 2K. You chose that. You don't want him to cheat, right? He stayed in the house. He ain't shit. He's in the house playing 2K. While you're trying to get some attention and affection, he's trying to get to his next achievement. You chose this. You chose this. I said this some time ago. Like, a lot of women, y'all back each other up in certain places, but y'all don't show up for these meetings, just like how the women show up for the WNBA. Y'all don't. Y'all don't.
That's a good point.
Really have to watch.
That is really a good point right there.
Like, bro,
but we need equal pay.
All due respect.
No, we don't. No, y'all not even going to the games. Why do we have to pay y'all for not going to y'all games?
That's a really good point.
That doesn't make any sense.
Hold on, like, understand this. Like, the WNBA, y'all want all this money, but the NBA is the WNBA is an NBA subsidized sport. We gave that to y'all. And even for the players who shout y'all out, disrespected, they get dragged. Y'all don't show up to none of them. Y'all love the LeBron James. Y'all like the Dwayne Wades of the world and the Kobe Bryants and whatnot. This is what y'all show up for. So if that would be me going out and speaking to TT on the corner, who I know just snorted coke about 5 minutes ago in the bathroom by some gas station and try to build her up, but she keeps running out the house at 3 a.m. because she just needs to get her fixed. I chose that. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. That's backwards. I'm not gonna buy a box of Fruit Loops that I know don't eat it, and then I try to eat it. I don't like this. I don't know why I got it. Like, what? You can't be stressed about something you chose. You smelled the weed on him when he was talking to him in the first place. You know what this dude does.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? So choice has a big thing to do with it.
Hold on, let me say something real quick. He's absolutely right, because sometimes you listen to some of these women. Oh, you know, I'm attracted to the guys that's in the trap. I'm attracted to scammers. Like you really attracted to somebody that steals credit card numbers all day and that doesn't really have a regular 9-to-5 job and is just a bum stealing from other hardworking people. What can that man provide for you? You know, you see him with some chick, and the next thing you know, you steal him. You expect it not to happen to you, but why would you not? He's gonna go to somebody else. He doesn't care about you. He's going to get his fix. His fix is women. So as long as you're taking care of him, you're cooking food for him, allowing him to drive your car and go wherever he wants to at any time of the day or night, you have made your decision. Some women will stay with a guy knowing that he's no good for them, but I guess there's a little bit of comfort, whether it be money or. And let me tell you something. There's always a benefit. Like people was like, okay, well, I give him this, he gives me this, but that's not even a healthy relationship because you're letting this man literally walk all over you, or in some cases, the man is letting the woman walk all over him. At the end of the day, when you don't have examples of healthy relationships, or let's just say you're tired and you just feel like I just want to go and wild out and do whatever, you're going to end up in the situations that you do. Like, and let me mention this. And I want us to jump back to the original topic that we were talking about, but I cannot tell you the countless times I have watched Maury, and these women would be like pointing at the screen, like, you see, he got your nose and eyes. And then you hear, when it comes to 5-month-old Joseph, you are not the father. And the cameraman goes and runs after them and follows them. You telling me 10 different times, 11 different times you came to the Maury show, you cannot find the child of your father. You made choices. You can get mad at these men. It's not their fault because they made their choice too. But now, hold on, wait. Let me
I'm sorry.
finish. Like, it's sad, but I was looking at what I think it was Nikita was saying. No, Jenna or something like that. And I'm lost. What's wrong with getting what you deserve? And exactly whatever you deserve is whatever you deserve. And I'm not wishing anything on people, but when you make certain choices and you expect positive outcomes, I mean, you're a dummy at the end of the day. Ray, go ahead, man.
I was gonna say that going back to the topic, like if you hear a lot of these women when they speak, and Sister George, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but they don't have a high expectation for Black men, right? Whenever you hear a lot of these women say, oh, I want a guy that's scamming, I want a guy that's in the trap, I want a guy that's a drug dealer, who are they talking about primarily? Black men. It's always negative stereotypes of a Black man. It's never really the positive. Because if you watch some of these shows, like they have these shows where it's like a dating show per se. And they'll have like this guy who's well-to-do, there's one who's a chemical physicist. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. And the girl rejected him because, he was too boring. Then they showed somebody else, I'm in between jobs and I live with my mother, or something like that, something crazy like that, right? And she was like, oh yeah, well, he's my type. And it's like, it's always a negative stereotypes of Black men that get the most highlight. When it's the positive stereotypes of Black men, he's too boring, he's lame, etc. But let that go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's not even a fact that he's boring. It's just that the nice guys don't tend to know how to seduce, and the guys who are quote unquote swagged out or whatever, they do know how to seduce women, and I think that's just the thing that separates the two.
I'm
not sure. I disagree. I think that women are attracted to the financial aspect of it all, like men who are scammers and who portray this kind of lifestyle. The drug dealers, they flash a little bit more money, and
let's go to Sister George, because Sister George said it. She said it very clearly. She said women don't want nice guys. So I was going to actually go back.
No. I said I did not say that. I did not say that. I said the quote unquote good guys just don't know how to seduce. We want men that know how to seduce. That's what it boils down to.
All right.
Good guy, bad guy. We want.
Yeah, but that's.
So let me go back to it. So the word nice.
Hold on.
So the word nice. When you look at the etymology of it, the energy of it, it means stupid and ignorant. So when that guy doesn't understand that woman, he is nice. He doesn't understand you. You don't want the nice guy who doesn't understand.
So here's the thing. It's not that all nice.
Kind, gentle, loving, caring are different things.
No, but the whole thing is if you pour into a person without having required anything from them, and you're the one that's just always giving, then that's automatically something about yourself that you don't feel valuable enough because you have to give in order to receive, as opposed to bringing your natural energy exactly who you are naturally and being yourself. Women love a man that's totally himself with no apologies about it. But a lot of guys are caught up on trying to be something somebody else is, or they're listening to dating coaches. The dating coaches don't even have successful relationships. A lot of dating coaches can tell you how to bang, but not really giving you your own true essence of yourself. And a lot of women look for guys that are totally themselves, and we can suss it out when it's not.
So
when
the
it's
men,
artificial.
so the men are ignorant and stupid to what the females want, because if they know that the female wants just a man who's himself, most of these men are portraying something different. So when you sit there and you tell a guy what you want, hey, I want this in a relationship, that nice guy is going to take all of that stuff and just wait 3 months, 4 months. All of it will disappear. Different to a guy who is himself from jump. All you got to do is just keep on trying to test him until one day you're going to be like, you know what, this is just who he is. Which is a guy who understands you. That's not a nice guy.
But you know what?
Kind, that's gentle.
People show up exactly as themselves, and people don't like that. I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? That's a true thing, and I'm allowed to say that.
That's true.
We want nice things to be seen. Most of the time, nice men don't have to.
Not like you as a.
Carlos,
no, I actually.
I love Nikita. I don't know who Nikita is, but I love Nikita. She said, no,
you want nice, but most women don't want a guy that they can run over. Most women don't want a guy that they can just push over. Christine is right. That is not a nice guy. That is somebody who doesn't. Yeah, Christine.
When you go back to the listen, there's not. We don't. You. How many times have you heard a man sit there and say, "I want a nice woman"? We said we want a good woman. Kind, loving, caring. I'm using all the words that I'm asking you to use about a man. But instead, what you say, and you sit there and say, "Hey, but I want
that is not the truth."
But listen, but here's the crazy part, though. I've heard that too. But now watch this. I want you to go and do the research on men talking about why it is not good to be a nice guy and how women don't want a nice guy. They want a man who's assertive, who's confident.
Yeah, but you are asking men.
But why do you have to use? But why do you have to use the word nice if there's other words to use? I want a gentle man. I want a kind man. I want a loving man.
And we can say that.
But so mind you. But then if we're talking about a guy who's boring, who's ignorant, that's a guy who there are words for that, and the word for that we use or that most women use is, hey, I don't want a nice guy because the nice guy, I'll run all over him. I'll use him. I'll abuse him.
Boring and ignorant, she would say that she wanted someone who was boring and ignorant, and not say that she wanted a nice guy. I don't think the two are interchangeable.
Say it again.
I think if a woman wanted someone who was boring and ignorant, she would say she wanted someone who was boring and ignorant. I don't think when she says she wants a nice guy, that's what she's referring to.
Most of the night, but then here's the thing. Here's the crazy part. You have girls who sit there. They literally be with a guy, and she'll go and say, "Hey, you know what? You are so nice. You're so kind. You're so loving. Any girl would be with you. Like any girl would be with you. Anybody would want to be with you." And then when the guy goes and says, "Well, why don't you want to be with me? You said I'm nice. You said I'm all of these words, and especially nice. But why don't you want to be with me?"
What she probably didn't say is that you like boundaries. I can walk all over you. You haven't shown up authentically as yourself. There's a lot more to it, but it's not necessary to say in that conversation. At this particular point, I'm telling you that I think you're a person, but I want to date you. We're having this conversation about today.
I honestly think a lot of women choose. I think a lot of women choose not to have the nice guy only because all of their little bad behaved friends are going to be like, who is this in marriage? A lot of girls, they make the decisions now based off of what their best friends say. So if they go for these nice guys, oh, he's a simp, this and the third, and they get looked down upon, and now they out the friend circle. I just don't take y'all seriously sometimes, because the audacity to say, I want a God-fearing man, I want a leader, and then that leader comes, oh, misogyny, toxic masculinity, or you're too controlling. Which one is it? You can't settle the fence on this.
I mean, do they really want a nice guy?
You want a gentleman. You want a gentle guy.
They want the scammer and they want the rich nigga dudes because they want to spend money right now. If they want a Birkin, they want the scammer,
the thug, the educated man, the corporate guy, all in one. All in one. The athlete.
So the corporate people, they have to wait to get all this stuff. They want everything they want now, like yesterday. Right now, not yesterday. I gotta wait 2 weeks. If I can't come in, they want it right now.
It be nice if we
right
could get it
now.
right now, but
And
most women understand that you can't.
Hold on, let me say something. And I'm just gonna keep this real brief. All right. So many of us know the character Steve Urkel from Family Matters, right? All the time,
Nikita let us know.
all the time he kept harassing Laura, and she kept on telling him, "I don't want you." Now she knows he's a good guy, but it took so long, right, for her to warm up to him. But then, here's my other problem. He had Myra, which is sexy, smart, intelligent. Why are you still trying to be with your girl and be with this other chick? Be with the one actually that loves you for who you are and is actually going to ride with you. Like, to be honest, that whole storyline should have never happened, because it's like, it's a slap in the face to all of the fans who spent watching the show for those like first 7 seasons, and then all of a sudden the last 2 seasons, oh, now she finally wants him.
Yeah.
Oh, now they're getting married.
And let's not keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's the hey stranger.
But we're forgetting something, right? We're forgetting that Steve Urkel had to reinvent himself multiple times.
I like that one.
He went from Steve to Stefan.
Oh, that's right. But then he separated himself, and she still did not want him after that. And then finally wanted him later on. It's like she treated him so bad. Like, a guy like that, this girl's treating you like trash. She keeps on telling you, like, yo, I do not want you. Get your arm off me. Get out of my house. Take a hint. But I feel like Urkel was a simp. Let's
but Gabriel, hold on.
He was a simp.
He was also a teenager.
Now, but he was like 21 when the show ended. Well,
how many jocks in high school are jocks, and they're not the simp. They're the alpha in the high school. So yeah, you're gonna have some simps in high school too.
Yeah, but hold on, Carlin.
That's where it starts.
Carlin, hold on. But we as men were taught wrong by other men, right? So we were taught if she rejects you once, just keep on trying, and then she's gonna want you, right? That was
and try again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what's taught by women. That's what's taught by men, other men, right? Men are always saying, "Oh, well, keep trying, keep trying." Now the message is, "Well, if she doesn't want you, go have sex with her friend." You know what I mean? Like, the messages tend to change over time.
I don't hear that one.
Everybody confused, though.
So she wants another example. All right, can someone give a better example than I did? Anybody?
That's Steve Urkel?
Yeah, give a better example, because I mentioned
Russell Wilson is a good example.
Another example, please.
What?
Russell Wilson. A lot of women feel like Russell Wilson was corny in the beginning because he's married to a white woman, and now he's with Ciara. He leveled up.
Wait, hold on. When was he ever married before Ciara? He had a white girlfriend.
He had a white. Yep. Yeah.
He wasn't married. She thought she was gonna go to the draft and get the money.
He was married, and she cheated on him.
I don't know if he was married or. I think the important thing is that he was married.
Definitely married. Like,
I'm sorry. Let's let Ray talk. Go ahead, Ray.
No. He was definitely married to her for a couple of years. She cheated on him. They got divorced, and then somehow, some way, him and Ciara ended up together. He was married. He was married to a girl named Ashton. Yeah, he was married. Okay. And a lot of women tend to use that example of, well, I want the Ciara's prayer, right? Meaning, even though they're the Summer Walkers,
Wilson's not a good example either. So you give us an example. Please give us an example.
No, it's not that. It's like
argument. You don't gotta give an example.
No. What I'm saying is, a lot of women want the Ciara's prayer, right? But they want to act like Summer Walkers and Carisha and expect men to deal with that type of behavior. And it's like, why? It's like, why? How do y'all expect us to take on, the negative behaviors, the stereotypes of what women are, and expect for us to polish you up, spit shine you, make sure that you're good, and then take you on as our partners? It doesn't work that way. Like, a lot of women, here's a prime example, right? The whole thing about no voting, no fucking, right? Sassy Santana and Trina, right? So that was basically a trope to black men to get us to vote for Stacey Abrams in Atlanta, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You think that was only for black men?
Yes, it was only for black men.
Why do you think it was only for black men?
Because they used a black couple, a black man and a black woman. The only way he was going to get some type of sex was one vote.
What?
That's the only way he was going to have sex.
Well,
if he didn't vote.
Okay, so I think.
Am I lying?
You don't get no poom poom if he didn't vote.
I think the video was probably like
I didn't hear you.
Created for a black demographic, so that's probably why they use the black couple. But
that's what I'm saying. A lot of women expect men to be cleanup men, right? You can do all the type of stuff you want in the world, have sex with whoever, whenever, however, and whichever way, right? And then expect for years later for us to come in and say, hey, you know, I want to take you. Let me spit shine you. Let me treat you like how I do a new car. Make sure you clean and good and all this other stuff. And then expect for us to just deal with that. And it's like, no, we don't want to deal with it. And Sister Joyce can attest that a lot of men in the spaces are saying we don't want to deal with offhand women anymore. We don't want that anymore because it's not fair to us.
I actually disagree with them saying that they don't want to deal with off brand women anymore, quote unquote, because they're going and doing the same thing in other countries that men did to us here, and then y'all you know, it's like y'all stated that y'all don't want that, but then y'all are going to other countries, dropping babies off, screwing all kinds of dirty women, and then say, well, you know, it's American women are just da 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 da, but y'all are doing the same things in other countries, and it's like, but y'all are blame us for everything.
I know you done got cussed out by a couple of people.
Listen, every day of my life.
Some of y'all men need to be cleaned up too.
Tell them, like, y'all not perfect.
No,
let's talk about it. Wake it up.
That's what
no. Let them talk. Let's talk about it. Go ahead, Caroline.
Go ahead. No, everybody's got their shit. Everybody.
Like, we're not perfect, and we never claim to be.
The difference is that
who is for them.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Christine. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I think people should go for whoever's for them, right? Certain type of people can only be around certain type of people. That's just a standard, whether the type of relationship that it is. That doesn't make the Carishas and the Summer Walkers any better than the Ciaras of this world. They're both women, and they both have men who will be attracted to them, and the type of relationships, dynamics, yada yada. But that's just people in general. I think what should be across the board is speaking with respect, enthusiastic consent, like all of these, like humanity things. Like, you just got to be good people. Mental health is really important, and it's like we're really messed up out here, and that's why we act the way that we do. But it doesn't mean that nice guys finish last because Black women don't want nice guys. We just not attracted to that particular person who identifies himself as a nice guy for X, Y, and Z reason. But that doesn't mean that.
I think we have to stop saying nice guys and saying socially awkward, because a lot of these guys that speak are very socially awkward.
They are socially awkward too.
They're socially awkward. That it is what it is.
They're emotionally awkward. They're physically awkward. It's awkward.
They're just socially awkward. Like, they expect for women to just fall at their feet because they have money. Oh, I got me a $10,000 Rolex. Fall at my feet and give me head. That's what I'm saying. Like, they expect that type of behavior, and it's like, it doesn't work that way.
That's because women do it.
Why are you so entitled to my time and attention? Because now I said that I don't want you. Now we hurt about it. I'm and that you do, right? Like, you go out with a bunch of women, and for whatever reason, you don't find them attractive, or you don't want to spend your time with them, or your energy, or your effort, and you say, okay, thank you for your time, or you just don't say nothing at all, and you just keep it moving. Right. But if a woman comes to you and she's like trying to communicate and say, like, hey, I think you're a wonderful person. I just don't think you're the person for me for whatever reason. Now we're going to get on her case about it. She's communicating healthily. She should be allowed to say, like, no, thank you.
No, and I agree with that. But I think what happens is that, like, a lot of men are observers, right? So they'll see how one woman treats one man, and they'll see how another woman treats another man. And if that woman treats that man differently from them, he could be of a lower tier or whatever. And we saw it time and time again on Kevin Samuel's show, where a lot of these women were dealing with the quote unquote bums and the Walmart Taviuses and the man-mans of the community, right? And they got the quote unquote royal treatment. But the dude who is doing what he's supposed to do, the dude that women say that they want, who's financially stable, who knows what he's talking about, who's educated and who's emotionally intelligent, all that stuff, they don't get that type of play. So once those type of men are seeing that, okay, well, I'm supposed to be what these women want, but they're treating other guys, even guys outside of the community, differently, I must be doing something wrong. I got to follow what these guys are doing.
Yeah, but then following it also comes with just your energy. You have to have a certain type of energy about you. Women are attracted to that energy about that man. So if that man has that type of energy and he's walking around and he's not ignorant to himself and who he is, he's not ignorant to how she moves and what she wants, and he's just literally giving everything he wants, she's gonna fold. She's gonna be there. But it's those guys who are literally and there are guys who have money who a female will fold for. We see it on social media every day. We see the egg looking shaped dude who's about 3'4", literally dancing with a stripper. Money. You know what I'm saying? Or fame or something. But mind you, the regular dude who look like that, he's not gonna get no plate because he's a literal simp. They're awkward. They're socially awkward. They ain't talking to nobody. They're physically awkward. Look at the guys who you see sometimes. You can walk around the store. You can walk around outside and see a dude who you look at me like, you know what? That dude will never get any time of day from you or anybody else. That dude has to sit there in himself and sit there and say, hey, I can upgrade. I can do what I got to go do because that's what people are doing. Both men and women. Men and women out there are going to the gym right now. Some are getting BBLs and stuff, but most of them are going out to the gym. They're getting what they got to get done. Why? Because at the end of the day, attractiveness is there. But when we're talking about these Simpsons, we're talking about like even the emasculation, you're looking at who is talking to them, right? A man has to realize at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck what nobody says about me. Because if I care, and definitely if I care for what that woman says, that one woman out of all the other ones, and then mind you, she's the one that's coming back and hurting me or whatever, you have to be in your own purpose. Your purpose is what's going to sit there and move you forward because every woman, she's on her purpose. She's going to tell you she's on her purpose. So every man has to be, whether she's on her purpose or not, she's going to sit there and be like, well, I'm in my purpose, and you know. But a man has to be in his purpose, and when he's not doing what he's supposed to go do, then he's not literally elevating himself. He's not going to go nowhere. You see it in every business. I'm sitting there looking in I went to Walmart the other day and I'm watching this guy and he's one of the cashiers at the self-checkout. This big looking guy has like purple type hair, weird and awkward. And he's sitting there and he's like, hey, you know, how you doing? How's your day? Whatever. And the first thing in my head was like, yo, I don't think this guy ever. Now, mind you, I don't know what he gets, but when we're talking about like just knowing what we need to do as men and women, men and women procreate, men sit there, give the insemination, like we're there with that. We have to come to a point now where we're talking about not just the emasculation of men, but why is it happening? Who is it happening? Why? Who we're talking about? Because we kind of brought it up before, and then we didn't kind of hash it out. But we're talking about why is it happening? Who is it happening to? Who's the one that's perpetuating it? A lot of fathers aren't in the house. There are some fathers who are in the house who are not as masculine as they should be. I actually met a mom one time who sat there and said, you know, the father be saying some crazy stuff to the point that the son literally, and I watched the son literally get punked and everything in school and didn't even want to, he's the biggest kid in the class and was getting punked by the smallest one that didn't want to do nothing. And you hear the father talking about, yeah, I didn't teach my son to sit there and, you know, fight anybody and do anything. I don't care if it's a school or not. Your son's going to be way older. He's going to be older way longer than he's going to be younger. You know what I'm saying? So it's like as he develops as a kid and he's getting pumped in school all the time, what is he going to grow up to be as a man? If he's getting pumped all the time and you're sitting there just saying, well, you know, just turn the other cheek and just don't do anything. As a man, he's going to not do anything either. As a man, he's not going to want to do anything. As a man, if every time he goes outside and his mom is sitting there saying, oh, well, if you come home and you don't beat his ass, then I'm going to beat your ass too. Well, he probably got his ass beat outside. Then he got his ass beat inside too. And then you have those guys who we call the Pookies and the Ray Rays who don't have any feelings. Why? Because they didn't grow up to have even any emotional balance. How do I even know how to talk to a woman? How does a woman know how to talk to me? How do I even know how to read what she is and what she's doing? There's an ignorance in both parts. There's an ignorance in how men move and how women move and how we have to see that. Is it in the household? Yes, but the reality is that most of the households that we live in, I'm not going to say most because I don't know the numbers right now, but there are a lot of households that don't have the mother and the father, right? So then what do people do as single parents who are watching this show? What do they do as both mother and fathers to sit there and now raise the children that are coming up? And since we're talking about males, and since a lot of males are going into Hollywood because that's what they want to do, they want to be actors. So how do we what do we do to sit there and say, hey, how do we find solutions to fix the emasculation of these black boys?
Well, one of the things is that we correct certain behaviors when we see it, you know what I mean? Sometimes you might see from a young age, your son might walk a certain way, or he might like, you know what I'm saying? Like, little boys will do this and not realize like it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like you correct them on certain things,
But then,
or how they might say, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, because little boys pick up certain things from women outside and also women inside of the home. You could have a child that grows up with uncles and stuff like that. Some of them still end up feminine, but at the end of the day, it's important to have these conversations while they're young. You don't wait until they're older to be like, yo, this is not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be different. Like, we want to see these type of images in our movies. We want people to see like it's more than just broken relationships or getting STDs. Like, I'm putting this stuff in there because it's like you see a lot in these black movies, right? I look at Tyler Perry sometimes and I'm like, yo, you profit so much off of the hurt and pain of black people. You say that these movies are about your aunties and your grandmother and all this other stuff, but it's like it's always something negative. Like, for once, we just want to see something positive from you. You keep on harping on these old things. Even you check out some of the shows that he has, some of the shows that he has on BET emasculate black men. But the thing is, black men and women are still going to watch it. And this is not Hollywood. This is Atlanta. This is his own backyard. And it's like nobody can tell him nothing, from the bad clothing to the bad wigs and just the horrible dialogue that's written for these scripts. I mean, it's crazy. But if he's doing that, he doesn't care, then what does that say about every other black writer in Hollywood, or someone that's a showrunner, for Nickelodeon or Disney or one of these other networks? Because it's like, if you're controlling the narrative now and no one is forcing you to do these things, then you can't complain and say there are no positive images. Like, all they do is just feature gay characters, the LGBT community, men wearing dresses and acting ratchet and all these different things. You know what I mean? Because if you have the power to change it, why not do it? Like, I look at Spike Lee as a great film director. A lot of people don't like his work. I don't know why, but everything that he's put out, from Do the Right Thing to Mo Better Blues, Clockers, he had a point. He had a message with every movie that he made. And we don't have that nowadays from a lot of black filmmakers. That's why I can sit down and I can look at the conversation between Mookie and Pino, right? And Pino, always saying the N-word, but his so-called favorite athletes and singers are N-word people, right? And there's always a certain point as to why Spike writes his stuff the way that he does. It's to simply show people like, yo, it's real out here. We don't want to give you some Hollywood fantasy. We want to show you exactly what's going on. We want to keep it as real as possible. I think Jungle Fever was another one of his movies. And that showed the tensions between blacks and whites with the interracial relationship. Now, the only bad thing I have to say about that movie was that the fact that this man was cheating on his wife. Now, if it was a movie where he was dating a white woman from the beginning, I can understand. That's the only negative aspect that I have. But also, the movie could have had another saying, could have had another interpretation, as to say, well, highly successful black men are leaving black women for white women. There's just a lot of different things that come to mind with that film. But we really have to work better with our we just have to do better with the material that we write about, because I'm pretty sure people can write stories about Roots and Mansa Musa and Marcus Garvey and all these great people, but
I think also too, as we're saying that you know, those who are in the entertainment industry, we have made strides, right? Like we have a lot of Black African American producers and, you know, writers and, like, you know, Shonda Rhimes, Quinta, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, Tyler Perry, he does have his studio, right? So we do have a platform or a space where we can go, right? Or should be, or let's say hypothetically is more accessible to people who look like us, so we can like control the narrative or control what's coming out a lot more. So, you know, we have come a long way. It's worth pointing that out or highlighting the strides that we have made in the right direction. Now we have the, you know, opportunities can be created or made to, you know, have more positive I guess representations on, you know, consumed by our people.
Right. All right, so I'm gonna have Ryan make the last point, and then we're gonna close out. All right, go ahead, Ryan.
Last point. Look, listen, Black family, Black people, rather. There is no moving forward until we fix us first. But in order to fix us, instead of arguing who's right and who's wrong and everything that's irrelevant, talk about it. Don't go to Facebook about it. Talk about it. And just watch the choices that you make. Every action, there's a reaction. You don't have to wear a dress, Hollywood. Black men, you don't have to cheat on your wives. You don't have to cheat on your girlfriend or whatever. Listen, we got to get right. We have to demonstrate who we want to see and portray ourselves as. Otherwise, we're doing nothing, just allowing other people to write our own story. It's time to change the narrative. Be the person that you believe in. Be that strong, godly man. Be that wife and a godly. Just be her. Stop feuding and fighting. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of your color. Never apologize for nothing unless you want. Then you gotta apologize. Other than that, I yield.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for joining us for this episode of the Meeting of the Minds podcast, The Emasculation of Black Men in Hollywood. We will be back next month. I'm hoping for more people to come next time. Maybe I'll advertise it a little bit more. I apologize. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us, and we're out. Peace.
Bye, y'all.